There comes a night when the world grows quiet. Not the kind of quiet that comforts, the kind that warns, the kind that presses against your chest like a weight you can't name, the kind that comes before the storm decides to scream. They thought your silence meant surrender. They thought your quiet meant weakness, but they never learned. Storms don't roar until they're ready to tear the sky open. You watch them talk. You watch them laugh. You watch them underestimate. And you said nothing. Because real power doesn't beg to be heard. It waits, like a wolf behind the tree line, like steel behind the velvet, like a king before war. There was a time you spoke too much, explained too much, felt too much. But pain taught you that some storms aren't meant to be explained. They're meant to be unleashed. You felt it growing inside you. Not anger, not revenge. Something colder, something sharper. The kind of power that doesn't seek permission, only the perfect moment. And so you stood still while they laughed, while they pointed, while they built their castles on your back. They never saw the tremor in the silence. They never felt the ground shift beneath their feet. They never imagined that quiet could be a weapon. You are the storm they thought was just a breeze. And your stillness was not fear. It was preparation. When you walk away, the air changes. They pretend they don't notice, but they do. Their world grows smaller, colder, quieter, because your presence was never noise. It was gravity. And when gravity disappears, everything starts to fall apart. You didn't vanish because you were weak. You withdrew because their world was too small for your fire. They called it silence, but it was strategy. True power doesn't march in screaming. True power disappears and lets the absence haunt them. It lets them choke on the space you once filled. It lets them realize what they broke. You didn't disappear. You prepared. In the shadows, in the silence, while they wasted breath, you built strength. While they played games, you sharpened steel. While they underestimated, you evolved. The world taught you this. Those who leave quietly return like thunder. Those who fall back don't stay down. They rise with scars, with teeth, with crowns. They will say you changed. But no, you became what their betrayal demanded. One day they'll return, not because they love you, but because they fear what you've become without them. They'll dress their guilt in apologies. They'll wrap their betrayal in soft words. They'll speak of memories as if memories erase knives. But understand this. Your silence will disturb them more than your rage ever could. Because silence says, I no longer care to explain. Silence says, I've outgrown your reach. Silence says, you are no longer needed where I'm going. When you rise, they'll demand your guilt. They'll ask why you didn't warn them, why you didn't come back, why you didn't kneel. But kings don't kneel to traitors. Warriors don't explain their scars to cowards. And storms don't apologize for destroying what stood in their way. You owe them nothing. Not your words, not your softness, not your forgiveness. Let them taste the distance they created. Let them live with the echo of your silence. Because what they broke became your weapon, and what they left became your throne. This is the warning before the storm. This is the hush before the roar. This is the part where you stop explaining and start rising. It's never the stranger who breaks you. It's the hand you trusted, the smile you believed, the soul you let too close. Betrayal doesn't come with warning signs. It walks in wearing a familiar face. It laughs like a friend and stabs like a ghost. They didn't attack your armor. They attacked your trust. They didn't break your bones. They broke your belief. And the cruelest thing, you handed them the blade. You gave them the map to your softest places. You built them a throne inside your heart, and they burned it down with a smile. You replayed it, didn't you? That moment, that silence after the strike, the taste of blood that wasn't on your lips but in your soul, the sound of everything collapsing without a single noise. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't scream, it whispers, and the echo stays long after the faces are gone. But remember this, betrayal is a lesson, not a cage. It scars you, but it also arms you. There was a night when the noise inside you finally went quiet, not because the pain was gone, but because you realized no one was coming. No one to save you, no one to understand, no one to stitch the wounds they left. And so, you stopped explaining, you stopped begging, you stopped reaching, you just went silent. That night changed everything. The storm outside you didn't stop, but the storm inside you became still. And in that stillness, something ancient was born, something dangerous, something unbreakable. Silence isn't weakness, it's the rebirth of strength. It's the moment the warrior puts down the excuses and picks up the sword. While they were sleeping in comfort, you were learning to live with fire in your lungs. While they moved on like nothing happened, you were bleeding quietly into steel. They thought they won because you didn't fight back. But your silence was the sound of your power forming. Pain pushed you into isolation, but loneliness didn't kill you. It crowned you. Because in the darkness, when there was no applause, no validation, no helping hand, you became your own army. You learned to sit with the ache and let it burn into resolve. You learned that the throne isn't inherited. It's forged in silence, in empty rooms, in nights that no one else survived with you. Loneliness taught you what loyalty never did, that no one saves the wolf. The wolf saves himself. They'll call it cold, but they don't know the nights you died silently. They'll call it pride, but they never saw how many times you rebuilt your bones. You became your own answer, your own shelter, your own storm. And when they return, pretending to care, they won't find the same soul they left behind. They'll find the ruins of their betrayal and the throne you built on top of it. They always come back, not when you're broken, not when you're silent, but when they feel your rise, when they realize the void they left grew into a kingdom they can't enter anymore, when your silence starts echoing louder than their noise ever did. They'll bring apologies like bandages, but these wounds don't bleed anymore. They turned to iron long ago. They'll talk about how they didn't mean it, how they were lost, how they missed you, but they were never lost. They knew what they were doing when they left you to burn. Apologies don't rebuild what they enjoy destroying. Sorry doesn't erase the night they watched you fall and stayed quiet. No soft words can unstab a blade that's already carved itself into your soul. And the cruel truth is, they're not sorry for what they did. They're sorry for who you've become without them. For the fact that their control died the moment you rose. The storm doesn't care for apologies. It doesn't stop for whispers. It only grows louder. Their lies weren't loud. They were soft, beautiful, dangerous. The kind of lies that make you feel safe, right before the fall. They told you they cared. They'd never hurt you. They'd stand by you. And with every promise, they built the stage for your destruction. You gave them your trust like a blade with no guard. They smiled while they cut, not because they needed to, but because it was easy. The words still echo, don't they? Like smoke in your lungs, like a ghost that won't leave. Because betrayal doesn't end with the act. It stays in your bones, in your breath, in the way you no longer believe what anyone says. But here's the twist. Those same lies became your fuel. Those broken words became your fire. Their dishonesty didn't bury you. It rebirthed you. They expect you to forgive. They expect you to soften, to open the same doors they set on fire. But those doors don't exist anymore. They turned to ash. Forgiveness is mercy, and mercy is a language they'll never hear from your throne. You don't forgive. You don't forget. You evolve. You rise like something they can't name anymore. Something sharper, something colder, something untouchable. They thought they killed you, but they only killed their access. They thought they broke you, but they only broke their own reflection in your story. They should have loved you when you were soft, because now they're facing a version of you that doesn't bend. A version forged in fire they lit themselves. And the most brutal revenge isn't anger, it's silence, it's distance. It's standing on the ruins of their betrayal, untouched. They thought silence was your grave, but it became your forge. They thought pain was your end, but it became your weapon. While the world slept, you rebuilt yourself. Bone by bone, scar by scar, truth by brutal truth. The nights they forgot you existed were the nights your fire learned how to breathe. No applause, no witnesses, just a war between who you were and who you were becoming. Discipline became your blood. Focus became your armor. Every breath turned into a strike against your own weakness. You rose in the quiet, not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself inevitable. Revenge isn't loud. Power isn't flashy. True rise happens in silence when no one's looking. When the blade meets the fire and refuses to break, they won't understand what it cost. They'll only see the crown, never the war it took to wear it. Every wound they left became a spark. Every doubt they spoke became fuel. Every night they walked away became another torch. They thought the fire would consume you, but they didn't know you are the fire. Pain didn't crush you, it carved you. It stripped away the softness they took for granted. It sculpted you into someone they'll never touch again. The same flames that burned your past forged your rebirth. The same storm they started now answers to your name. You became sharper because of their betrayal, colder because of their silence, and stronger because you stopped expecting them to come back. They built your rage for you. They sculpted your throne with their absence. They gave you everything without even realizing it. And now, you owe them nothing. Not mercy, not a warning, not a second glance. They called you cold. They called you distant. They called you dangerous. They were right. But what they'll never say out loud is that they built this version of you. Every cruel word, every fake smile, every night you swallowed your pain in silence. It all crafted the monster they now whisper about. You stopped being the soft one, the forgiving one, the easy one to break. You became the shadow they can't look in the eye anymore. The name that tastes like regret in their mouth. The storm they thought would never return. And here's the truth they can't escape. You were never the villain. You were the consequence. They fed the fire. And now they'll kneel before the inferno. You no longer bleed for their approval. You burn for your own destiny. When a storm returns, it doesn't knock on doors. It shatters them. You won't come back with explanations. You won't return with warnings. You won't give speeches about how they made a mistake. You'll show them. Your rise will not be a whisper in the dark. It will be a thunder that makes their excuses tremble. They won't hear from you. They'll hear about you. From the places your name now echoes. From the ground that shakes when your steps return. You won't speak to convince them. Your silence will do that for you. The weight of your presence will remind them. The one they buried is the one they'll now have to face. You don't announce your comeback. You arrive, you command, and you take. No mercy, no explanations, no apologies. This isn't revenge. This is balance returning to the world. And balance has your face now. Mercy is for those who didn't know better. They knew, and they still betrayed. They played their game, thinking you'd never hold the sword again. But here you are. The storm they laughed at, standing above them with the silence they feared. The king doesn't explain his return. The king doesn't justify his rise. The king walks back to the throne, and the world kneels. They'll tremble at the power they helped create, because they remember the soft version of you, the one they thought they owned. But that version is gone. Ashes, buried in the fire they started. Now, you walk like war. You speak like thunder. You move like someone who owes no one anything. This isn't personal anymore. This is destiny. They doubted you, laughed at you, turned their backs while you drowned, and in doing so, they built your crown. Their disbelief was your fire. Their distance was your forge. Their doubt was the hammer against your soul, and it shaped you into a king. Your rise isn't a miracle. It's the mathematics of betrayal. They removed their weight, and you learned to fly. They gave you silence, and you turned it into a throne. They gave you pain, and you turned it into power. They gave you nothing, and you became everything. And now they return, with lowered eyes, wondering where the soft heart went. But the throne is built, and the crown is cold. This kingdom was born in their absence. Don't come crawling when the throne is built. Don't knock when the gates have already closed. Don't whisper my name when your silence once killed me. I warned no one. I announced nothing. I simply rose. And when I rise, I don't carry the past with me. I bury it. I burn it. I build over it. You'll watch the kingdom you never believed in. You'll see the fire you tried to kill. Light the sky. Stay away. This empire has no room for traitors. This throne was carved for those who endured the storm, not for those who caused it. They'll call you cold for closing the door, but they never spoke when you were outside, begging. They'll call you ruthless for turning your back, but they never turned when you needed them. When I rise, stay where you belong, on the outside of my walls. This isn't revenge. This is alignment. This is the universe returning everything to its rightful place. This is the prophecy written in your scars. You were meant to fall. You were meant to bleed. You were meant to walk through fire until your soul stopped begging and started commanding. They were never enemies. They were catalysts. Their betrayal wasn't your ending. It was the ignition. Every night of silence carved the path beneath your feet. Every scar became scripture. Every doubt became steel. You didn't rise to prove them wrong. You rose because it was inevitable. Because power doesn't need permission. Because kings don't explain the storm. They become it. The cruelest revenge isn't rage. It isn't violence. It's distance. It's them watching your name echo through halls they'll never enter again. It's them hearing about your rise from the outside, hands pressed against gates that won't open. They'll say they miss you, but they miss the access. They'll say they're proud, but they'll choke on the regret that they weren't standing beside you when it mattered. The price of betrayal is watching me win from far away. Uninvited, unwelcome, forgotten. I don't need to burn their world. My empire is enough reminder. Every stone in my throne is carved from the silence they gave me. Let them watch. Let them ache. Let them drown in the fire they lit. And know this, my rise owes them nothing. Power doesn't explain. It doesn't argue. It doesn't beg for understanding. The moment you rise, you stop justifying your existence to those who tried to erase it. You stop lowering your voice to be heard by people who never listened. You stop bleeding just to prove you were real. Your silence now isn't emptiness. It's authority. It's the crown they'll never wear. It's the weight they'll never carry. You're no longer the boy trying to be understood. You're the storm that doesn't need to speak to be feared. You're the throne they can only look at from a distance. They'll talk, they'll twist, they'll rewrite. But their words can't touch what was forged in fire. The empire doesn't need to explain itself to the ashes it left behind. You don't fight them anymore. You don't chase. You don't explain. You distance. Distance isn't weakness. It's sovereignty. It's the quiet fortress of a soul that no longer entertains chaos. Let them wonder why you're silent. Let them ache in the space you left. Let them learn what it means to lose someone who carried storms in his chest. Distance is the final war, the war they can't win, because you're not fighting anymore. You're gone. You built your kingdom in the silence they mocked, and now They can only stare from the cold. You stopped seeking closure the moment you realized closure isn't given. It's built. Legacy is the only answer worth giving. You don't rise to explain the pain. You rise to crown it. You don't rise to heal their guilt. You rise to build your legend. One day their whispers will fade, but your name will remain carved into the bones of the storm. Not because they believed in you, but because you rose when no one did. You are the empire they will speak about but never touch. The legend they'll regret not standing beside. The king they'll swear they knew, but never truly did. And when they finally come, eyes lowered, hearts trembling, there will be nothing to say, because silence will answer for you. Don't apologize when I rise. Just stay where you belong, beneath the shadow of the throne you helped build.